everyone, and welcome!
We really appreciate you stopping by our channel.
Today's destination takes us to a place where the ocean waves crash into a rocky shore.
Where eagles flock like seagulls.
And if you're there at the right time of the year, you can be one of the first people on the east coast of the United States to see the sunrise. If you haven't already guessed it, stay tuned, we'll tell you in a second.
Hi, we're the Fun Chasers. You know, it seems that no matter where we're going, John and I are always the ones doing all the planning. Now, we really don't mind, but we do it for the whole family, from where we stay to what we eat, and even what we're going to do when we get there. If this sounds familiar to you, stick around, because that's why we're doing this playlist. I figured while we were doing some researching, we'd just share it with all of you and maybe save you some time. So are you ready to do some traveling? Let's go. This is the Fun Chasers bucket list.
Well, I gave you a pretty obvious tease at the beginning. Did you figure it out? Today's destination is Mount Desert Island, Maine, home to Bass Harbor, the Bass Harbor Lighthouse, and of course, Acadia National Park.
We really want to go back because we miss so much.
Well, because there's so much there, from Sand Beach and Jordan's Pond to all the carriage roads that wind through the park. Now, those carriage roads have a long history and were actually paid for by John D. Rockefeller, Jr. Before Acadia was Acadia, Mount Desert Island was a place for the super rich to escape the long, hot summers in the city. You see, back then there was no air conditioning, so the wealthy types would go north to Maine to escape the heat. Rockefeller owned a home in the area and wanted to preserve the park for all to see, so he set upon a project to create and pave for nearly 60 miles of carriage roads, where cars were not, and still are not, permitted. Today you can walk the roads, pedal your way through the park, or if you brought your horse, you can ride all 60 miles. Now, if you prefer a bit more rugged hike, and John, you could just sit down for this, get your boots on and fill your canteen because there are about 150 miles of hiking trails all over the park. Yep, that'll keep you busy for a bit.
The last time we were there, we were one of those people who hopped on the park tour bus and saw Acadia from the comfort of our bus seat.
Because you didn't want to walk.
That's why we really want to go back. This time, when we go, we are going to include Southwest Harbor, known as the quiet side of Acadia.
Southwest Harbor is located along Route 102 in the southwestern corner of the island and park. Now, this place is beautiful. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, this is exactly how I always imagined New England would look like. The sailboats were floating on the breeze and the lobster pots were bouncing in the bays. So something I discovered is that if you go to Southwest Harbor, you can actually rent a boat, or you can take sailing lessons, which is another thing I've always wanted to do. I mean, come on. This place is surrounded by water. How can you possibly see it if you aren't there on the water, right?
Yeah, well, I waited for that. I also found a boat captain. This guy will take you out in the water and teach you how to look for lobster. Then he cooks them after you catch them right there on the boat.
That's fresh.
You know, if that seems like too much work for vacation, not to worry, because Southwest Harbor is also home to the Maine Lobster Company, also known as Beal's Lobster Pier. This is pretty neat. They have a sit-down restaurant where, of course, their specialty is lobster, but they also do takeout. And you can call ahead and pick it up either from your car or from your boat.
Oh, yeah, that is cool.
Pick up your order and sail off into the sunset.
Oh, my. Not wave goodbye.
Wave goodbye.
All right, well, when you leave Southwest Harbor, you're going to be waving hello to a tiny town of Tremont, which is where you'll find one of the most iconic lighthouses in the park. The Bass Harbor Lighthouse is perched on a rocky cliff face that marks the entrance to Bass Harbor and Blue Hill Bay. You'll recognize this little light right off because just about every picture of Acadia has Bass Harbor light in it. Why? Well, because it's so darn pretty. And speaking of pretty, the wildlife on Mount Desert Island is breathtaking. Blue herons pose for the camera while seals bask in the sun. But what you'll see the most of, though? Bald eagles. They're just about everywhere, so have your camera ready at all times.
Hey, do you remember last time we were there?
I do.
There was an eagle who followed our boat for the longest time.
It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I got some of the very best eagle shots that I've ever taken in my life. Yep. So another photo op happens in the very, very early morning. Most people are just going to bed when you have to get up to drive up to the top of Cadillac Mountain to be one of the first people on the east coast of the United States to see the sun come up. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal until you're there and you realize it's a really, really big deal. And check out this picture. I love this picture that my friend Gina took when she was there. Now, the best known place on my list is Bar Harbor. This is probably the most popular town near Acadia National Park. Bar Harbor is a dog-friendly community, which I loved. Nearly every store has dog bowls full of water for our four-legged friends. You'll get a hometown vibe when you walk around this tiny New England town. They even show movies on the green at the center of town, and there's a gazebo for band concerts during the summer.
We usually take our camper no matter where we're going, and if you're like us, you'll be happy to find 13 campgrounds in the area. Of course, there are lots of hotels, and something else we're considering because that is a long way for us to pull our camper, are bed and breakfast, historic lodges, and I also found a bunch of cottages to rent, and there are weekly house rentals.
That would be good because we have a lot of people. So regardless of what you want to do or where you want to stay when you visit Mount Desert Island, one thing's for sure, you'll be amazed at the breathtaking, untouched beauty of this place.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and be sure to hit that notification bell. And for even more fun tales, check out our other playlists at youtube.com/thefunchasers.